So we have our sample problem for step pulley in cross belts. So our question, find all the diameters of all the steps of the pulley shown in the figure below. So we have our given in the driver shaft 120 RPM as well as our diameter 1 in our driver shaft which is 16 inches. And we have our given in our driven shaft N1 is equal to 192 RPM, N2 is equal to 160 RPM, and N3 is 80 RPM. So we have missing, ang hinahanap ay all the diameter. So meron na tayong D1. D1 is 16 inches. Ito ang ating mga missing pa. So we have to remember this formula, which is N1 over N1 is equal to D1 over D1 ng ating driven shaft. So, isubstitute lang po natin ang ating mga formula or sa ating formula, we have 192 RPM over 120 is equal to 16 inches over D1. So, by shift solve sa ating calculator for time's sake, ang lalabas po dyan ay 10 inches. So, nakuha na natin yung value ng isa, 10 inches. So, sa ating step pulley in cross belts, we have this ruling na kapag pinag-add mo ang diameter 1 ng driven at driver shaft ay kailangan pareha siya sa another step, or kapag pinag-add mo ito dito, kailangan pareha siya dito at ganoon din dito, pati rin dito, which means diameter 1 plus diameter 1 is equal to diameter 2 plus diameter 2 ng driven shaft, and so on and so forth. So para makuha natin yung susunod na mga diameters, pag-add natin to. So kapag pinag-add natin yan, D1 ng driver shaft plus D1 ng driven shaft is equivalent to 16 inches plus 10 inches, and that will be equal to 26 inches. So kailangan pag pinag-add mo ito dito, mag-equal siya sa 26 din. Therefore, D2 ng driver plus D2 ng driven must be also equal to 26 inches. So, magagamit natin yan para makuha itong mga diameters na po ito. So, sa ating pong formula, we have N2 over the constant RPM is equal to diameter 2 of driver shaft over diameter 2 of driven shaft. So, para makuha po natin yan, substitute lang po natin. 160 over 120 is equal to, wherein, kapag i-rearrange natin itong equation, we have diameter 2 of the driver shaft is equivalent to 4/3 of diameter 2 of the driven shaft. So, we have equation 1. We have equation 2. So, mula dito, substitute natin. So, meron tayong makukuhang value na 4/3 D2 of the driver shaft plus D2 is equal to 26. So, by shift solve, we can get the value of diameter 2 of the driven shaft, which is 11.14 inches. So, meron na tayong value. 11.14 inches. So, gilid natin to. So, para makuha ang ating diameter 2 ng driver shaft, ay from this equation, we can get the value of D2 of the driver shaft. We can get 4.86 inches. So, meron na tayong value, 4.86 inches. Okay? So, for our final two diameters, same step, same process, ganun lang din. So, from the formula, D3 of the driven over D3 of the driver shaft is equal to the constant RPM over RPM of the driven shaft. So, substituting the value, we get D3 over D3 is equivalent to ano yung ating D3 or ano yung ating N, 120 RPM. And for our N3, we get 80 RPM. So, rearranging this equation, we can get the value of D3 is equivalent to 3/2 of D3 of the driver shaft. So, kanina, based from our ruling, kung ano yung sum nito, equivalent sa sum nito at equivalent sa sum nito. Therefore, D3 of the driver plus D3 of the driven is equivalent to 26 inches. Base sa nakuha nating value kanina. And, from this equation, we can get 3/2 is equivalent to 26 inches. By shift solve, we can get the value of D3 that is equivalent to 10.4 inches. And from this equation, or para mas madali, i-minus na lang natin sa 26 tong value para makuha ang ating D3 for our driven shaft. We get 15.6 inches. So, yun naman po. Kompleto lang ating given. We get 10.4 inches as well as 15.6 inches. So, proceed po tayo sa next problem.